Recording started.
Talk shoes. Recorded live.
Good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation or around the world. Once again, you are listening to the VMware Communities Roundtable podcast. This is podcast number 515. My name is Eric Nelson, and with me today, I have my regular co-host, Matt Lunga. Today is Wednesday, June 16th, 2020. Thanks a lot for joining us. Matt, how you doing?
Eric, I'm well. I'm taking some advantages of some Pluralsight classes this week that, for those of you that are not aware, Pluralsight membership comes along with vExpert as one of the benefits. So another great thing and another great opportunity that are out there, and to take advantage of those resources in a little bit of downtime. Enjoying the weather in central Pennsylvania. And how are things out there in the Bay, and what's the color of the Bay?
Thanks for asking. It has been windy but warm, windy, sunny, warm, which means color of the Bay is going to be kind of a choppy dark blue. And on the show today, we're going to talk about VMworld. We're going to do a short update on VMworld, so stay tuned for that. We're going to be talking about vPower sessions, code vPower sessions with Kripa. Kripa's on the show today, Citraraman. And we're also going to be talking about Raspberry Pi 4 and some AI lab stuff we're working on for VMworld. So stay tuned. You're going to learn a lot about VMworld today. We have special guest today who is on the VMworld team, Amanda Johnson. She's here. She's going to just give us a quick update on what the VMworld event's going to be shaping up to look like, and registration is going to be opening up. So we're going to start with Amanda, then we're going to talk about VMware Code Power Sessions, and finish up with Hackathon and Raspberry Pi Labs, and then finally at the end we have a nice sweet potato barbecue report from Tony Foster. So let's get started with the show. We'll kick it off with just some generic news. The vExpert apps are open. They will be open for another couple of weeks. So if you are working with your vExpert Pro, go out there and get your app ready. We've seen a lot of great responses. Thanks you to everybody. I think we're up around 400 applications that have been submitted for the back half of the year. Matt, do you have an update with regard to any other data people will need to know about the vExpert application process?
I believe they are open up until the 25th of this month. So 6/25, we have the applications open out there until, and then we will start reviewing. And then I believe the awards will be the 17th, subject to change.
All right. Well, great. And the only other news thing I have before we get to Amanda to talk about VMworld is, hey, VMworld, we've opened the site, so you can go check out vmworld.com and see the site. The branding is up, as well as we have announced when registration is going to be open. So save the date, as well as reg opening is now being announced. And
23rd, correct? The 23rd registration opens for VMworld.
Yeah, that's right. And it's interesting because the save the date on the site doesn't actually say the dates of VMworld. It just has a save a date button. You have to kind of drill down to figure out what the actual date is. But we are going to open up reg, and so get ready for that. And with that, we'll just transition to Amanda Johnson. She came in just through audio to tell us a little bit about what's happening with VMworld. We do have some questions for her. So Amanda, welcome to the show. Give us the 7-second elevator pitch. Who are you and what do you do at VMware?
All right. I am the senior manager over event technology for VMworld. So the registration systems, your content systems, your mobile app, anything you've interacted with on site at VMworld, and now online this year for VMworld 2020. And I came to VMware via AirWatch. So I've been with the group for a while.
Very nice. Yes. Are you down in Atlanta, or are you?
So I am actually in Denver, Colorado.
Oh, very nice.
Any other mountain fans out there?
All right. Well, great. Well, thanks for dropping in. We're just going to talk to you for maybe 5 or 6, 10 minutes here at the most, just to kind of get us update. I know you've been very busy because obviously if you're owning the VMworld technology piece of the event, the technology is going to be a big part of it because it's all going to be online this year. So what can you tell us about how things are shaping up?
Well, first of all, we are 6 days away from registration, so we are busy making sure that you guys are ready to register. But when I talk about registration, we do have a great opportunity this year to invite all of you to come register. we have a general registration pass that is complimentary, and you'll have access to 7 VMworld channels. This is live sessions running continuously, as well as more than 500 breakout sessions. So we hope to see a lot of our community that may not have been able to attend in the past join us for VMworld. And we also do have another option to register at a higher level pass, just some limited, what we're calling the Premier Pass, where you might want to do a Meet the Expert session or have a hands-on labs that is guided.
Yeah, that's interesting. So let me just take people through what I learned this week and make sure you can correct me if I'm wrong. But
Sure.
the show is kind of coming together as kind of channels, and we're going to have some number of channels, much like tracks were for a physical show. The channels will be this 2-day kind of canned structure where you're going to have some quasi live things, some pre-recorded things that if you want to come in and choose one of those channels, you can follow along for those 2 days. And at those, if you think about the math of that, the channels, if you're doing hour-long things or 3/4 hour long things or half an hour long things, you're going to be limited to 2 days. That might be 16 or 20 things per channel track, I guess. Is that the right name for that? Kind of like channel or track?
Yeah, we're calling them channels.
All right.
So channels are the live TV component.
Nice. I love that. That's kind of like I can come in and choose a channel, and I don't have to be locked into a given channel. I can flip to a different channel if I'm looking at the schedule, correct?
Absolutely.
Right. Okay. So then we have these channels, and that's like the live streams of the 2-day event, right? But when you talk about 500 other sessions, that means that I can either stay live and watch channels, or I can drop off and I can consume content at my leisure on any of those 500 sessions that are out there, give or take.
Correct. And we keep the on-demand library on, 365 days a year. So we'll be adding these 500 during VMworld. But if you prefer to, for those 2 days, interact with the more live elements, you aren't pressured to choose between the 500 and the live TV. You can schedule those 500 at your will.
Right. Right. So in your head, you guys can start to understand that we have these channels. They're going to be live. It's 2 days. We're going to have 500 different sessions all lined up by these quote tracks or channels, right? The channels are really for the live stuff. The tracks are more just themes for content, right? So there will still be tracks, and the main sessions will be organized by track, and the channels kind of aligned to tracks, I would assume.
Correct. So you can think of the whole show as actually aligned into tracks. So channels, the on-demand sessions, as well as the VMware demos that you would see in the Solutions Exchange. Those are aligned by track as well.
That makes sense. So that sounds exciting. Very cool. And we've kind of touched on this in previous podcasts that we were thinking it's going to be a fun live event with content. And then you did mention the advanced paid model, right? That there will be something that you can pay for. And I'm actually excited about that too, because the price is only like under $300, $299, give or take. I assume there will be, different currencies and ways to purchase that. But that kind of segments out where we're going to have smaller sessions, right? Hands-on sessions. And I've heard that that's going to be based on Zoom, so that you might come into a specific Zoom session that is kind of exclusive. And the dollar amount is to, help cover the organizational costs of creating these spaces, but also to kind of segment out, what is important, what is something that's a limited resource. Maybe it's a session with somebody important or a key influencer, or maybe it's a hands-on lab, maybe it's a workshop. It's things that they will be limited in seating capacity. Therefore, there is a charge to organize it, as well as keep people that just kind of floating around that don't have any investment. So it is a kind of a gateway to keep high quality experience, leveled. Is that a good way to articulate that?
Yeah, absolutely. I consider it a gate exactly to the high level experiences. So we're talking about, round tables that would be led by VMware experts, birds of a feather that would be more community driven. Like I said, the hands-on labs workshops and any one-to-one opportunities to really engage with experts and to schedule those.
Right. And I know that we are, as part of the community team, where we run power sessions, vPower sessions, where we run, specific vExpert parties, things like that. We're looking at those being part of that $299 package, right? So that if you want to come in and have a high quality experience, and I'm really talking to the audience now, and you want that to be kind of at the level that you would expect a vExpert party, Pat shows up, engages with people, that, we're going to expect that $299 registration fee to cover, the cost of putting on those activities. But that raises the bar from it just being an open-ended 500 person in a pre-recorded experience to the kind of level you would expect as part of being part of the event, which I really love that idea, talking to Linda, Britt, and crew around, that $299 fee. What does that get us? I think that's something that most of us as community members, as long as we're delivering high quality experience to you, that you wouldn't have a problem registering for. Other thing that I heard is that there will be a limited number of registrations that'll happen, right, for that higher level package. Is that true?
Yes. So we want to make sure that everyone, can get into these sessions and get a good number of them. So we are limiting the passes to approximately 5,000 total that we will sell.
Right. And that's not bad, because if you actually look at all the people that come to VMworld, a lot of the people are vendors, they're employees, there's all kinds of people. So 5,000 isn't a small number when you're talking about customer experiences, right? And having something that costs money for customers to come in and engage with experts that can help them, architecturally determine how to do deployments, all the kind of things that customers want to experience. So I think those 5,000 probably are focused on, giving customers that good experience as well.
Yes, definitely.
Right. All right. Well, that sounds good. And I know there's going to be some fun activities, maybe in the evening, a way to engage socially. We've talked about sending out pizza cards, but that's just at our space. I know you guys are trying to work on making it a kind of an engagement experience kind of event as well. And there might be some kind of special activity on that first evening, right?
Yeah, we'll stay tuned. We'll announce surprise and delight opportunities,
Right.
later as we get a
Now,
bit closer.
are we going to have like a virtual band, like some, online virtual?
Eric asking me questions I can't answer yet.
I know. That's my job, is to make you squirm a little bit when you're
Uh-huh.
on the conference, on the podcast. All right. Well, Amanda Johnson, thanks for dropping in and saying hello and just giving us a snippet preview. And registration opens up next week. Matt, what's the date?
It's Tuesday the 23rd.
23rd from what we've seen.
Next Tuesday.
And if you're really sneaky, you'll come in really early, because, it launches in APJ the 23rd first. So if you're up late on the 22nd, you can go and try to get in.
Now, is the paid reg going to open as well on that same day?
It is.
Okay. So note to all podcast listeners, if you're listening to this and you want to jump on one of the paid, it's limited to 5,000. I would encourage you to go in and, get the $299 paid thing, sign up, get registered, so that, one, we can know you're going to be there. We're going to have community things that are worthwhile that you'll get to be part of as part of the paid. And, two, we could use the money. It's always good to get money. So Amanda Johnson, thanks a lot for coming and spending some time with us.
Thank you. Bye.
All right. Okay, moving on. Let's get to our main topics today, which is kind of this whole online experience that we're getting ramped up for the rest of the year. And one of the things that we've been running so far is vPower sessions. We've had the VMware Code program has really been gaining steam. We've had code coaches, which are our evangelist leaders that have been running the code program with us. And so on the show today, we have Kripa Citraman. And Kripa, thanks for being here. Also, we have Casey Soundarajan, I think, something close to that. So Casey, thanks for being here. Kripa, thanks for being here. We'll start with Kripa. Kripa, give us the 2-minute elevator pitch. Most people know who you are, but give us a 2-minute elevator pitch. What do you do at VMware, and how long have you been here?
Hi, I'm Kripa. I've been on Eric's team technically since 2015, because I interned twice when I was in college, and then I started full-time in June of 2018. So I'm about to hit my 2-year mark. And I've been managing the VMware Code community program. And it's been a great ride. We've done a bunch of hackathons, gone to some really cool conferences, curated sessions. It's been really interesting getting to grow this community of really just technical evangelists for VMware in the last 2 years. I've learned a lot. And now, new challenge, COVID, everyone's home. So from going from a role where we go to events and we engage with people face to face, keeping that engagement going digitally has been a really interesting new challenge. Like Eric mentioned, we recently launched in January the VMware Code Coach program. Coincidentally, it's something that we had been talking about doing for the last year, and we just so happened to launch it right before everything kind of shut down. But the Code Coaches are a group of our influencers in code that have really just given back to the community. And a lot of them I met because they either work at VMware and they're just really well known for writing really good code and blogging about it, or I've met them at conferences because they've given VMware Code power sessions in person, or they're really active on social with sharing code samples and information to come out of code.vmware.com. And it's been awesome having them all kind of in the same group and interacting with them. We recently had a socially distanced pizza party where they all got little pizza gift cards sent to their houses, and we all ordered pizza at the same time and hopped on a Zoom and talked about the program and ways we can improve it and some of the things that we have coming up in the future. And one of those things that we've actually been putting on for the last couple of months are the VMware Code online power sessions. If you've been to a VMworld in the past, we have these things called power sessions, which are 30 to 45-minute quick technical talks on a variety of topics: Kubernetes, Git, service mesh, and they've been really popular. So much so that last year we actually had 2 theaters, one for larger breakout sessions and a small 100-person theater that was packed, overflowing throughout the entire week that we were at the conference. So why stop that when we can just do it online? So we've been running sessions once a week. They're all live streamed. So whoever's coding, it's live. We didn't pre-record that. It's going on right in front of you. So if you have any questions, you can drop it on the chat. All the speakers know to expect questions, so they're ready to answer and like fix code on the fly if you even want to see that. But they've been going on really well. If you're subscribed to Code, which you should be, code.vmware.com/join, free to join, and you check the little newsletter box, you'll get an email in your inbox a couple weeks before the end of the month, which will show you all of our upcoming sessions for the upcoming month that you can add to your calendar. So it'll give you a reminder an hour before the day of, so you know it's coming. Obviously, if you miss the live stream session because of time zone differences, we have them recorded. They're on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/VMware Code. So subscribe to that. We have, Eric just gave one on Monday. If you've gone to any conference where Eric's presented, his Raspberry Pi sensor labs are overflow. Every single conference we've gone to. So he just gave a session on that on Monday, and his slides are updated. They're in the video. So if you missed that, definitely go check that out. Subscribe to our channel. Yeah, power sessions are going great.
Okay, well,
there's an active Slack channel for the code community, correct? That
Yeah.
I know that I've dropped in from time to time, and it seems to be pretty well attended and pretty responsive. Can you share that out with the community as well?
Yeah, definitely. So if you join Code, and our way of joining Code is you go to code.vmware.com/join, and you just put in your email, you automatically get an invite to join our Slack workspace. And when you go in, you're automatically added to 2 channels: events and general. General, if you look at that channel, there's new messages coming in like every 2 minutes, people asking questions. And then there's about 50 or 60 other threads that you can join based on your interests. So there's one on PowerShell, one on Kubernetes, one on Tanzu, that you can join to like ask specific questions. And most of the people that respond in those specific threads are subject matter experts that either work in that field or have had a lot of contact with that field in the last couple of years. All of our code coaches are also in Slack. That's actually my main mode of contacting them. So they're active, and it's been great seeing them approve new members and engage with all of our customers and partners that join and talk on the Slack. Because it's not just for internal employees, it's obviously community. We have a lot of external people, just anywhere that touches VMware products. It's a great space to have.
So I have heard that we have maybe 14 or 15,000 Slack members, and that there are maybe 400 or 500 of them that are active, ongoing over the several weeks that are there. So that just gives you kind of a scale of the number of people that are in chatting on Slack. And Slack is free to any community member, right?
Yeah, it's completely free. I mean, the program is free. It really is a community. You get out of it what you give to it. And that's really how it's been running in the last 2 years. And I love seeing that. That's one of my favorite parts of working in the community, is seeing people help each other and learn from each other. I've learned a lot from community members. I come from a not technical background, so managing a technical community, I've definitely had a lot of help from community members teaching me lingo and the lay of the land and giving me pointers and what to learn. So
So do we cover for the vPower sessions? Let's come back to the vPower sessions. You talked about the coach program. Let's go to coaches first, then we'll do power sessions. So on the coaches program, are we looking for more coaches? Does that open up regularly, like what the vExpert Pros do? Is that like a once a year recruitment? And how many do you have now?
yeah, so originally this was just kind of like a test group idea. We chose 14 people, me and Eric, based on just participation in different modes: blogging, social media, actively writing code. And we have 14 code coaches right now. Obviously, I think we would love to add to that in the future. We're currently working on some projects with the code coaches, can't announce them just yet. But after we see how those pan out, I would love to include some more people in. Originally, my idea was that the coaches, since they're already engaging with a lot of the community, can recommend new code coaches to the program. I think that would be a great way to do it. But obviously, I'm also open to suggestions. If anyone else has any ideas, I would love to
And
hear them.
the way we chose is we looked at people that had skills in given areas, right?
Yeah.
So we're looking for coaches. But if you, right, like I like to always pick on Kyle Ruddy, right, where the beard, where he's obviously an expert doing PowerShell, right? So he's come in, he's a code coach, even though he has left VMware and he works at another company now. He still engages on the Slack channels, and he still does talks on PowerShell. I think he's going to be at Online VMworld. I think he's going to have a session there, right?
Yeah, he's also giving a VMware Code Power Session next month in July. So yeah,
Right.
the coaches have been awesome. They're really active. They're giving power sessions. It's most of the coaches that we chose are people that can write code, that can talk about it, that are comfortable showing it. And if
Right.
someone says, "Can you show me how to do this?" they're able to do it.
Right.
But obviously, that's not the only thing that we looked at. We looked at
Right.
participation, people that are evangelists for the community.
Sure. Right. So if you're listening to this out there and you have been writing code on a particular area, like say you're doing vRealize automation and you're spending time and you've written a lot of code around vRealize automation, maybe you automated your data center, having a code coach that knows that really well, right, is what we're looking for, right? So if you have a hobby, like for me, mine is obviously Raspberry Pis and writing C drivers and Python drivers for different sensors, and spending time with Casey looking at how to do AI there, right? So that makes me kind of an expert, right? Because what it makes me is passionate, and community is all about passionate. So if you're listening to this and you have a passion and you've written some code on a particular subject and you want to share that, that's what VMware Code is about. So yeah, a little recruiting pitch on if you are working on a particular area. And I know that for VMworld, we're looking at maybe running our own kind of event after VMworld that takes a session type and makes it a coding experience where one of the coaches will sit down, or anyone that knows code really well will take a subject and then take requests and then write code for that request in real time in front of everybody, so that everybody gets to watch. And the code coach, he or she, will talk about how they're writing that code and kind of do a code request session on a given topic, right? So
Like code on the fly.
yeah, code on the fly, which I think is a really cool idea, right? I like that. I like that idea. So that's coaches. Power sessions. How often do we do power sessions, right? And you know, what's the value proposition of doing power sessions on a regular basis?
Sure. And I mean, I'm going to point to this really quickly. Last touching point on code coaches. If you haven't checked out our blogs, blogs.vmware.com/code, it's been updated. You can meet the code coaches. We have a little introduction article that talks about all of the coaches, what their subject of expertise is, what their interests are outside of work. And we've also aggregated, most of them write blogs that they share their projects on. We've aggregated all of their blogs onto the code blog. So now instead of having to go to their individual blogs, you can find them all in one place. And that's a really great way to see what they're working on if you're interested. And if you find someone from the article that you're like, for example, Kyle, oh, he's working on PowerShell, so am I. What can I learn from him? That's a really good place to go to. And I would like to drive people to the blogs because that's also where I have the schedule up for the Power Sessions. If you're not subscribed to our newsletter, I'm really active on Twitter. So if you follow me on Twitter, I post out sessions, upcoming sessions all the time. The Power Sessions, last year at VMworld, with both VMworlds combined, we had over 100 Power Sessions. And in Barcelona, almost all of them were 100% capacity. I think only 2 were not 100% capacity. They're really popular because unlike longer breakout sessions, they're short. They're easy to understand, and there's different levels of them. Something that I've experienced a lot with this community is that they're people who really just want to learn. So you can't give them a 300 level presentation. It's got to be kind of like a walkthrough of understanding. And the Power Sessions are great for that because they really start from scratch. I think a lot of the format of them is different than most presentations where there's a 10-minute kind of introduction slides, but most of the Power Sessions are coding examples. They're demos that the speaker run through and they show you stuff that they've built. And it's really cool to see. We run them once a week. Currently, I mean, I'm still, if you're interested in giving a Power Session, like please feel free to reach out to me. Twitter, email, anything works. But we're running them once a week right now. And usually they're around noon. There's no specific day. It's just look at the calendar. It's based on speaker preference. So, but they've been running really well. And just the value prop is like, it's a really great way to learn something in a short amount of time. And it's such a wide variety. It's not like we're focused only on one product or one thing. We have such a wide variety of sessions.
Matt, take a stab.
So, Kripa, of those submissions that you may have out there, and obviously a very popular topic, how do you go about evaluating right now of what you submitted, and of the submissions that you have there, what do you looked at? What's popular right now? How do you evaluate of what's next in the queue?
Yeah, so actually, instead of asking for submissions, I've been reaching out to people directly, just because there's certain topics that I really want covered. Obviously, Tanzu's hot right now. I've been talking to the cloud native team, and it's been working in the sense of that one person does a presentation. They've been really liking the format of the presentations, and they request to do one a couple months down the road. And that's currently just been filling our calendar. It's been great. The code coaches have been doing presentations. It's been awesome. I would love to have people reach out though, because obviously I only know so many people and can get them to do sessions. I would love to have some more variety and range that's not just VMware employees. I think that's the most difficult thing when I pull my own submissions. I obviously choose from employees, but the community is so much more than just VMware. So I would love to have some range and variety there. So if anyone who's listening to this would like to give a Power Session, please reach out to me. I'd love to have.
Is there a topic out there right now that you really think that man, I wish I had somebody from that particular area of interest or a subject matter expert that that's hot right now, or have had a lot of requests for, that you just haven't been able to find that particular person as of yet?
I mean, Kubernetes is just hot. Like people can't get enough of Kubernetes.
Sure.
So I'm never going to say no to a Kubernetes session. Feel free to throw them my way. I actually I've only had one that's been really a Kubernetes session out of the last like 8 or 9. So just because I've reached out to specific BUs and they're not necessarily the Tanzu BU, so I haven't gotten very much Kubernetes stuff. So I'd love to have some Kubernetes sessions.
So, and if they would want to reach out to you directly, Twitter, I would assume, would be the best
Twitter,
method?
Perfect. Either DM VMware Code, I'm the one that manages that, or DM me directly. My handle is just my entire name. But I'm pretty
sure.
Can
you get, just for our listeners that aren't following along with the YouTube channel, can you spell out that for us for your Twitter handle?
My Twitter handle is @Kripa, KRIPA, Sitharaman, S as in Sam, ITARA, M as in Mary, A, N as in Nancy. But of course, like if it's easier, just totally DM the VMware Code Twitter account, and I will definitely respond.
So community members that are out there that would have a possible topic, please get a hold of either, as Kripa said, VMware Code, or DM her directly. And it sounds like there's some great opportunities there to set up a potential power session.
Yeah, I would love that.
And not to say anything, but I still think that some of the traditional topics also, where it is PowerShell, right? And I know that we talked to William Lamb and get some advice from him on interesting things that he likes to cover, and kind of guides us in that. So any vRealize automation, capabilities that you've done, it would be great to get some customers, people that have written code for customers is also just interesting to listen to. And I think we're going to try to grow into that space as well, right? Where we've done a lot of tech right now, but which are kind of topical tech, like, hey, here's how to write this, or here's how to write that, and this is what I wrote. But also it's going to be fun to go out and get some stuff that people have written to solve some of the problems that you would typically automate, right? So and it's
always great to hear, hey, this is an example, right? Yeah. In some of these sessions, but what's the actual real world use case? How did I take what that example was, and how did I solve a business problem with it? I think that's the more, for some people that are out there, the more relatable thing of, okay, here's what I was faced with. Here's what I read a little bit about, but then from what I read, here's all the modifications that I need to actually put it out in the real world. We love to hear this.
Agreed. Definitely. So again, if anyone's hearing this, definitely reach out to me.
Okay. So moving on, I want to talk about Slack for a minute or two, right? So I know that we use the free Slack on the code channels. Slack is a nice thing to have. Usually Slack is used for internal communication with employees. And so having public Slack where you have 20,000 members that can come in and engage in all these channels, how do we do that, given that Slack usually charges like $100 per year per user member, yet we're giving people free Slack access?
I mean, so right now the way that it's working is because of the free Slack, to make up for the fact that we're not paying, storage becomes limited. So what it ends up doing is you can have as many threads as you want, as many people as you want, but conversations only go back a month. And after that, those conversations kind of disappear. But to kind of balance that out, Casey and I have been going through Slack and cleaning up channels that haven't been touched in the last couple of years, and just removing that to free up some storage so the important convos can stay longer.
Interesting. And I know that we have a conversation going on with Slack, the executives of Slack, to give us unlimited storage to be able to move Slack into the community space. So we've been working with Slack to have those conversations around, hey, we have Zoom chat. We have chats all over the place. I got chats, in almost every single tool. The nice thing about Slack chat is everybody's there because you're a developer, and that's the developer way to talk to one another. And it wouldn't be nice if we could just have a Slack service like we used to have IRC chat servers that everybody could use, and that we would kind of consolidate chat on the Slack channels. But that would require us to have the ability to maybe pay storage fees, but not user fees, right? So instead of paying $100 per user, we could just pay for the storage and buy a storage plan for everybody. So we are working with Slack, and they're interested in that. So they're going to give us a proposal that would allow us to just buy storage and let everybody be on Slack, right? So instead of it just being limited, everybody can be on it, and we pay for the storage, and we can move it forward. And then we can embed that Slack on various different blogs, various different community channels. Even on the podcast, we could have a Slack chat here that everybody could be on a common chat versus everybody in individual chats. And so we're definitely working on that. In fact, I have a meeting with Slack reps right after this podcast. So stay tuned on that one. So I think that will be interesting. So good on that. Hackathon. We should talk a little bit about Hackathon. That is always a popular conversation when it comes to VMworld. Last year, we kind of canceled the European Hackathon, and we got a lot of slack. What can we say about Hackathon these days?
So we heard the slack from last year, and we're not canceling it this year. But obviously, because we're not all going to be in the same room, I mean, with having an in-person VMworld, we're always limited to timings outside of the conference, room, resources, all of that becomes limited. This year we have kind of a different and open different place that we can use online, aka. So instead of having an open-ended hackathon like we've had in the past, I think we're going to try and have a more structured, here's one problem, everyone show us your different creative ways to solve it. That way it kind of gives an even playing field, and it's just easier for us to judge because we won't be there in person. It's not like we can see everybody who's coding and seeing what you're working on in person. So having a more structured hackathon is going to be easier for us to see. I don't know. There's so many things we can do with it. We're just in the brainstorming stages, but we could have each team do a Twitch stream and award like bonus 5 points to the team that has the most people watching their stream or something. I don't know. Just there's so many options and things we could do.
And I would say that what has been holding us back is waiting for VMworld to choose a model by which they're going to have these medium-sized to small-sized meetings, right? There was tech that they had to choose, right? So the reason we had Ann on today, I believe it's Ann Johnson, is that we had to wait until they chose a technology, and they kind of evaluated like 10 different vendor options for creating online communities, technologies, and so forth. It's actually Amanda Johnson. That's the things. Amanda Johnson, told us it's going to be Zoom, right? Which I love because we can do this in Zoom, right? And so now that we have that technology decided, we can quickly move forward with deciding how we're going to run the hackathon. And it will be on Zoom, and then we'll probably have teams that will be on. We'll have Zoom meetings scheduled out for the teams, and then we'll come together and bring X number of top voted implementations to a evening event, right, where we would typically run a hackathon. I think we'll do an evening event where everybody comes together on a 500-person Zoom, and then we'll go through the winners of the teams that have built a solution, but that we give everybody the challenge, and they have to solve a problem. So it's almost like capture the flag, a little bit of capture the flag, where you're given a challenge, you have to code to that challenge, and then you get evaluated, pointed, and then we get to see the most innovative, creative ways to solve that challenge. So we're getting that ready. We're hoping that by early July we can announce what that's going to be, so that people can form their teams and attempt to solve the challenge. Which should be a lot of fun. So looking forward to that. And the technology choice of using Zoom, which you would think would be an easy choice, has now been made. So we're happy about that. Kripa, anything else to add to that?
Nope, just definitely sign up for VMworld. We have a code subtrack. We have a bunch of sessions coming out from a lot of our code coaches at VMworld, and a lot of cool things planned. So hope to see everyone there.
Now, question to potentially both of you here. If a community member would want to participate on a team, not just observe, do you see them having to register for the premium tier for VMworld, or would this just be open for anyone?
I think just open for anyone. I mean, communities always run on community. I think it wouldn't make sense to put an extra price tag on it, but we don't know. Again, like Eric said, nothing's been finalized with the hackathon, so.
I'll take my stab at that. We are looking at the challenge that we have with the main VMworld event is it's only going to run 2 days, and they are going to run a event on that evening of the first day, which, since it's only a 2-day live event, that means there's only 1 day doing an event, and we would have to run the hackathon in that evening and then be competing with the VMworld event. So we're looking at maybe doing kind of like what we've done with VMworld, where we do a pre-con event. The community would do we're looking at doing maybe an after event on Thursday and Friday. So it'll be in association with VMworld, but it'll probably be a VMware Code Connect event that is a hackathon that's probably the day after the 2-day broadcast happens. And then if we do that, we're not tied to you need to buy a membership in order to be on our Zoom meetings. Where if we're during the event, the membership meetings that you want to come in and be in, these small meetings, require the $2.99 event. So for the Code Connect event, that will probably be, the hackathon will be the day after, we're looking at it potentially being free, because we're not going to be part of that main reg stream of the main VMworld event. So we'll probably brand it like a Code Con for Code Connect or Code Conference, but it's not really a conference. It's going to be a Connect event, and it'll just be the hackathon with some other coding experiences. So that's a long answer to you, Matt, but that's what we're looking at.
Well, it's a good one at that. So it's free as in beer and open to everyone, and it's global. So I'm sure that, as Kripa could comment to, the competition at these is pretty fierce. And now that we have it as a virtual event, we're going to have globally distributed teams that are going to bring some, I'm sure, pretty fierce competition. Now, Kripa, in the in-person events, there were some pretty good prizes from what I can remember last time. Do you have any teasers out there for us with some of the things that you might be looking at for some of the top competing teams?
Can't spoil the surprises, but we do have more budget this year because we're not spending money on a room. So
yeah, we'll absolutely have prizes. And there are some interesting things we're looking at. So one of the ones that we're going to talk to Casey here a little bit in a moment is Raspberry Pi 4s. So the new Raspberry Pi 4s have 4 gig of memory and dual HDMI outs and a faster CPU. So if you guys, I know a lot of the experts got the Raspberry Pi 3s, which are a lot of fun. A lot of people hold them up and show them to me every once in a while. So that's good. So we can probably expect some Raspberry Pi 4 components as part of the prizes, with maybe some a little bit of storage devices. We're going to have to mail them out, so we can't make them too big of prizes, because they have to be sent in the $15 post express box. So we're going to do, but my guess would be we'll definitely have some Raspberry Pi 4s with possibly some small networking gear. And my guess will be we'll also do for the grand prize a little mini multi-Raspberry Pi server kits, right? So that they make little cases and you can put multiple of them in there, and then you can actually have a true Kubernetes platform with storage and little fans that keep the whole thing cool. So that's what we're looking at. So yes, prizes. We'll do that.
It's like some really neat and interesting gifts. I can't wait to see what you guys put together.
Yeah. Prizes, not gifts. Earnings, trophies. That's it. Trophies. But we're looking forward to that. That should be good. It should be good. And it's all about coming up with that right challenge. And speaking of challenges, Casey has been sitting peacefully waiting the whole podcast. So let's introduce him. Casey, give us the 1 minute elevator pitch, maybe 2. Who are you? What do you do at VMware? What's your gig?
Gotcha. So my name is Casey. I'm a rising junior at the University of Southern California in Los Angeles, and I'm studying computer science and business administration. Last summer, I joined Eric's team to help him develop Kubernetes on Raspberry Pi Lab. I had a ton of fun doing that, getting engaged with the VMware community, and I'm back again this summer working on another Kubernetes lab, this time incorporating some machine learning and AI to make a Slack bot that can assess the state of a Kubernetes cluster.
Nice. Yeah. So that's super cool. What language are you doing it in?
So I'm writing everything in C++ right now, and then currently working on integrating some parts with the Slack chat API in C++. But I'm doing more research and seeing that I might need to start pivoting languages at some point to make things easier for the Slack side.
The Slack side, that would make sense. In the C++ side, it's because machine learning requires objects, and there's libraries that do a lot of that work. So you could see where will it run? What platform will this run on?
So our goal is to have it run on the Pis and be kind of another lab component that people can interact with. And interestingly enough, a lot of machine learning tools are actually being developed for microcontrollers right now. So there's like TensorFlow Lite, which is super lightweight. It's meant to run on an ARM chip like a Raspberry Pi. It's also written in C++, so stuff like that's really going to prove useful for deploying.
And I know that, you know, AI, we've got AI in vSphere 7, right? That does the machine learning. This is just kind of a good way for people to learn, one, how to code, two, learn a little bit of Kubernetes, and then three, learn a little bit about AI, right? So these are all great things for anyone that's running a data center. If you look forward in the future, it's all going to be AI driven. So this gives anyone that wants to participate here, and if we did a hackathon around this, you would be kind of learning the concepts of AI machine learning, correct?
Absolutely. Yeah, I think it's a great opportunity to kind of get your feet wet in all of these subjects. And yeah, just a really exciting field to be exploring.
Now, I like the idea of a Slack bot chat, you know, that actually could manage your Kubernetes instance. But what I want to see is somebody build a AI that actually talked on Slack while you weren't present, so that if I were on Slack and I wasn't around, I would have some set of typical answers that we could give, right? And then we would call you like a V expert, but we would call you the virtual V expert, right?
So V squared.
Yeah, V squared expert, right? That then if I were, you know, dealing with you, you would have a V squared icon next to the chat, so that I know that I'm actually talking to your virtual self, not your real self. But then your virtual self would learn how Casey would typically engage and answer, and I think that would be a lot of fun. And then your virtual V expert could also keep your Kubernetes instances up and running, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's a really cool idea. And yeah, hopefully this is the starting point for something like that.
And I have a feeling that the hackathon will be somewhere along those lines, but taking your AI and then building a vRealize plugin for it, right? So that instead of it just controlling Kubernetes, it could actually control your vRealize, or it could give you data. And I mean, when we talk about control, we're not talking about, hey, let's go reboot machines. At least now what you're talking about is really grabbing analytics and then deciding whether that should be an alarm or not, or whether that should text me, or whether it should tweet at me going, hey, you know, you got a problem with your system at the moment, right?
Yep. Yeah, absolutely. And that's our whole goal for this Kubernetes bot. We can just take in this data and then notice if things are changing, and then be able to tell you a helpful message in Slack that kind of assesses all of that for you.
Right.
Be interesting to see if we're looking at the Slack example, can we take this and what's the next step, right? So if it would be a busy channel, can we scale up, or we can scale out with the base Kubernetes cluster to handle the load? So once the initial code's developed, and then you would throw it actually onto, like, let's say the busy main channel like Kripa was speaking of, how would it handle the load? And could we write or put steps in on the back end to help scale and contract to the demand based on the channel that was running on? There's an idea for a hackathon. Maybe not.
Gotcha. So kind of controlling things itself and having that autonomy instead of just maybe saying something.
Sure.
Yeah, I think there's two elements to that question. One, you could certainly determine how much to put out on a Slack channel depending on the volume. But then two is like, could you scale up Slack? And the answer is no, because Slack is a SaaS service that we don't control, right? So if you're talking about scaling out Slack capacity, no, but scaling out the number of engagements that your bot actually does, of course, right?
Right,
And
the processing capacity of the bot itself and the efficiency. So if it was running on a smaller channel, it would need less processing capabilities and less backend Kubernetes nodes. If you had it on a bigger channel with more active users, it might need to scale out to handle individual responses and to do more AI and machine learning.
Got it.
So what we're developing, Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. What we're developing isn't maybe quite like running on Kubernetes. It's more taking Kubernetes information and assessing it.
Right.
So it would be applied to a cluster that exists that might be deploying another app. I don't know if that helps at all.
Yeah. So
Sure.
I would say that it's an interesting theoretical thing that could be done. It's probably, and anybody that wanted to hack on that could probably do that. And that's the idea of a hackathon. And its idea with Casey's code and making it available to people, or at least a module, so that you can write some code and plug it into the neural net that he's actually building, right? So I don't know if we're going to expose the whole neural net, but we are going to definitely expose the ability to plug in a module that will allow you to build intelligence for whatever you wanted that neural net to track. So it should be fun, but making it doable so that you don't have to write a lot of, a ton of code, right? Because I'm sure nobody's going to sit around and want to build an entire neural net, but it should be interesting.
Not the most conference-worthy thing, I guess.
Yeah, to do a hackathon.
Yeah.
But I love that idea, Casey. So it sounds good, and it sounds like a good Raspberry Pi 4 project that you've got going, and a Slack interface should be cool. I just want a V² expert. Right? We have to come up with a better term for that. But I want my virtual V expert out there, always on the channels, always saying hello to me. And whether it controls my capacity or not, I don't think that's up to people that want to do a cool project, right? And if you look at Raspberry Pis are about automation, right? I mean, if you look at them, the sensors, everything you can bolt on a Raspberry Pi is about automating daily activities, right? And using the CPU of an ARM to be able to just manage your daily activities more efficiently, right? Shut my garage door, turn on my air conditioner, all those type of things. It is IoT type of activities. But taking a Raspberry Pi and applying it to my IT practitioner activities for the day, I think would be fun. So,
yeah,
cool
absolutely.
project. Yeah, cool project. All right, so that's what we got. We got hackathon in planning. We will definitely do a lab with Casey online during the VMworld. So that should be fun. So Casey, keep up the good work, and I'm excited to see your next code drop, and maybe we'll get you back in. Kripa, thanks for always doing all the work with the code coaches. Sounds like you're on fire. I know that I've seen a lot of social on code coaches, and I'm looking forward to seeing some more diversity and inclusion when we recruit some more code coaches.
Yeah, I'm excited too. The program's really good. Like you said in the beginning, code's been gaining so much speed this last year and a half, and it's been really exciting to be a small part of it. And I'm really excited for what we have planned for the rest of the year.
I know we're also sponsoring some Women Who Code events coming up as well, right? So
yeah, SF Connect in October. I'm hoping to help out over there. So now that I'm in the city, so.
Very nice. So if you haven't joined code, join code. Kripa, you're sending out monthly session mails to everybody that joined the mailing list. So you can actually see a nicely formatted. Plus, you have your blog. What's your blog URL? We'll do a shout out to that.
blogs.vmware.com/code.
blogs.vmware.com/code. So go add that. Are we on the RSS stream reader as well for code articles?
Yeah, we are. I mentioned in the beginning, but we've taken all of our code coaches' blogs and we've aggregated them onto our code blogs, so you can see everyone's stuff in one place. It's like your one-stop shop to a lot of new content. So definitely check it out.
If you are a code blogger, that's another thing you could do. Is you could join code, become a code coach, and we'll aggregate your stream up onto the code blog as well. So cool stuff. What is the Twitter handles people should be following?
VMware code, VMware code, VMware code, and maybe me.
What is your
retweet VMware code? So probably VMware code to start with.
VMware code, okay. And Kripa, what's your Twitter handle?
It's at Kripa, Kripa, Sitharaman, S as in Sam, Itara, M as in Mary, A and as in Nancy. But code's just easier, so code, and I'm sure you'll see something that I've tweeted on the code stream, so you can follow me that way.
Fantastic. Casey, how do they follow you?
On Twitter, I'm @Casey Sound. That's KESI, and then sound just what you hear.
SOUND. Awesome.
I should have done made mine cryptic.
We got 4 minutes left before we're at the top of the hour. What else do we need to share? I guess we can go to the barbecue report. Matt, take us to the barbecue report.
Is Tony with us?
I am with you, unless I'm a figment of your imagination.
No, not at all, Tony. What do you have on the barbecue report for us this week?
So last night had a really nice barbecue. It's not the 3-meat barbecue that we talked about here a couple of weeks ago.
That's so last week. That's so last week.
I know. So this week, I did a couple of steaks, one for me and one for my wife. Really nice seasoned butter for the topping. And then I did sweet potatoes. And what was unique about these sweet potatoes is I actually did cubes of sweet potatoes instead of doing the whole sweet potato or anything else. But I
Nice.
just cubed them up, a little bit of brown sugar, some cinnamon, and butter, put them in a pan. They turned out awesome.
Very nice. Very nice. Sweet potatoes. I need to learn how to grow sweet potatoes in my garden. I got potatoes going, but I don't have sweet potatoes. But cubed sweet potatoes on the barbecue. I like it. Squash is coming in as well. So I'm going to do some barbecued squash. So the garden is starting to produce now. So we're going to start doing some barbecued vegetables. I love it. Great idea. There you go. And with that, we are at the top of the hour and we are good. Next week, we are going to be talking to vExpert Pros. The vExpert Pros have been recruiting vExperts and it's been very successful. We are looking to cross the 2,000 vExpert number. When we started the vExpert program 10 plus years ago, I think it's 11 years now, we started with 20 vExperts. I still have the list that I created with John Troyer and me sat down, gave him a list of 20 people we could have as vExperts. John was like, we can't get vExperts. How are we going to get any vExperts? And I just went through the people I knew that engaged with us, and we made a list, and away we went. And that was, I think 11 years ago. And we looked at Microsoft MVP program, and they had 2,000 plus MVPs. And we were like, okay, we're VMware, we have 20 and Microsoft has 2,000. And it has taken us 10 years. Everybody with the community working hard, engaging, learning. Our product is expanded. Microsoft had a lot of products back then, so it wasn't really a fair comparison. But now we're crossing that 2,000 threshold. I think Microsoft is only at 3,000. And so there is probably a theoretical limit on how big an influencer program you can actually run as a standard enterprise company. But we're still growing into that footprint, catching up to Microsoft. And we have a lot of great solutions. And as we acquire cloud companies, that gives us more experts and more sub-programs. So looking forward to that. So Matt, we're going to have you guys on next week just to talk about the vExpert Pro program and how we've crossed that 2,000 qualified, high quality vExperts. We're not just signing everybody up. We reject at least a third of all the applicants, but then working with them to improve the applications are going to be fun. So we're going to bring them on next week, Matt, and I'm looking forward to you and your pros coming on and talking about it, how you do it.
Can't wait to be on. For those that want to join us live, we're on YouTube at vBarbecue, 3 p.m. Eastern. And if not, catch us on all of your current podcast forums.
All right. And with that, Casey, Kripa, Matt, thanks a lot. And thanks to Julia Klaus, who does all the live streaming with us behind the scenes every week, week after week. Thanks a lot. And we'll see you again next week. Have a great day.
Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Derek.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.